What if Female Deku was Surge? So basically, in the last part, Surge had overloaded her systems, and, well, her equipment broke, causing a large shock. And Kit had saved her, as they're now in a different area. As Kit is watching over an unconscious Surge. Surge, are you alright? As she's just seemingly injured. Seemingly in pain. As Kit doesn't know what's wrong with her. As he doesn't really have any medical experience. So, he plans to take her to a hospital to get some help. As Surge simply grabs Kit's arm as he's about to carry her. We can't trust anyone. But you need help, Surge. I'll be fine. It'll just pass. It always does. Whatever you say, Surge. Just rest for now. As she simply just seemingly passes out. And during this time she'd be out, the Liberation Army would basically attack, like where they would go after the LOV's base, the Nomus, and the fight with Shigaraki would happen. As Japan has been now thrown into chaos. And with this chaos caused a lot of, well, problems. As Surge would wake up as basically a month has passed. As Kit would not leave her side. As she's holding her head. My head hurts. Surge, you're awake! As Kit would hug Surge. Yeah, I wasn't gonna let something like that take me out. As she would basically grab his head before, like, rubbing on it. So, what happened while I was out? Well, apparently there's a lot of villains and all that happening. As then, something bursts in the room. As he says, give me all your money. As then Surge would just raise a hand as the man would get shocked out of the room. Who is that? I don't know. As they would go to the window, as they would see a whole bunch of villains. Just simply walking through the streets. Kit, do you mind spraying some water through the entire area? Sure, Surge. As then Kit would send water basically through the window, spraying onto a lot of people as they're all getting wet like it's raining. Thanks. As then she would just send like electricity, shocking all the villains on the ground, knocking them out. Those weaklings, they can't handle Surge. We should really get out of here. It's no longer safe here. Be fine, Kit. After all, these low-level guys can't handle us. As they would simply just walk onto the street past the unconscious people. So where to? Simple. Why don't we just go to UA? Have some fun. Surge, you know how well it went last time? What, when the heroes found us? Don't worry. We'll take care of them. No, I won't let you get hurt like that again. Fine, we won't go to UA. As then she kind of would hit the back of Kit's head. You worry too much. I guess we'll just go somewhere else. As they would be simply walking, as then they would notice something. As it's basically a destroyed prison. I wonder what this place is. As they would simply walk up and see all the prisoners basically unconscious. As they would see someone with a white beard. As Surge would get down on the ground and lift the man's head. Hey, who are you? As the guy just simply looks at him. Great. More. As he attempts to stand. Hey, look at old Gramps here. As he would simply just fall over. I think he needs help, Surge. Fine, bring him along. as Kit would simply grab the man before they walk off. As they're simply sitting in like an alleyway nearby. As Kit is doing the best to patch up the man. As Serge is just sitting in a corner. I still don't see why we couldn't just lift the old man. Come on, Serge. He was really injured. You have too much compassion. Anyway. As the man would wake up and get to a fighting stance. Who are y'all? Just someone wandering by and just decide to help for no reason. As Serge looks away. I'm glad you're alright, mister. As the old man would look at, well, Kit. Well, thank you, young man. Come on, Kit, it's time for us to go. But, Serge, I said it's time for us to go. Alright, bye, Mr. Gentleman. Bye, Mr. Gentleman. As they would leave. I don't know why you stopped to heal that guy. Let's continue walking. As they would walk, as then they would come through a... As they're walking, they see a huge burst of flames. As Kit would get in front, Serge, watch out! Before covering her in a water bubble. As the flames would, well, diminish around them. As Serge is just in the water bubble, I could have handled it myself. No, not with those flames. I'm getting sick and tired with so many nuisances. Wish there was a way to get rid of them all. As then several villains would come out. You know what? I have an idea for an attack. What is it, Serge? As she starts to make like an electric ball within the water bubble she's in. Time to burst their bubble. As she smiles with her sharp teeth. As basically the water bubble would grow to a huge size before scattering, shocking everyone that got touched by even a single drop of it. Shocking all of them, causing them to collapse on the ground. As Serge's eyes glow, as she lands on the ground next to, well, Kit, you know, that was fun. As then a huge thing of ice would come over, freezing Kitsuname's ice, as Serge would basically shield herself from the ice in front of Kitsuname. Basically freezing her back. Wow, that is cold. As she would just shock herself to heat her body temperature up. Ooh, much better. You alright? Kit's trying to check on Serge. I'm fine. It's just a bit of ice. You're too much of a little crybaby. I'm not a crybaby. I'm just worried about you. Sure. Let's continue. As they would seemingly walk to where the frozen people were, or where everything was covered with ice. Oh, look who we have here. As some heroes would notice. Hey, that's the villain that shut off the power plant. Yeah, so what? What are you heroes gonna do? Doesn't look like y'all could be much in a fight right now. As Kit would walk up next to Serge. Serge. Right. Right now, we're not in the mood to handle y'all. So y'all can just enjoy your measly victory. As she would pick up Kit before running off. As they would simply go to the other end of the city. Before Serge sets Kit down. I'm very confused right now, Kit. What do you mean, Serge? I've been trying to figure out. Like, my story never made sense. This world is obviously against us. Yet you show more compassion than I do. You gotta be a little bit more trusting? I trust no one. After all, we trusted the doctor, get where that got us. You're right. But we have to start trusting somewhere. As then she would hit Kit. We trust no one. No one can help us. Not in this world. As she simply just looks out of the window of the building they're in. Those heroes obviously abandoned us. Same with this world, this society. Why else would we be his lab rats? We're just simply tools to be tossed aside, and when we're done with, to be broken. We're on no one's side but our own. Isn't that right, Kitsuname? Kit. You're right, Surge. We're on our own. As she would, the tense atmosphere would get up, as she would pat Kit's head. That's right. Now let's continue our little adventure. I kinda don't want to stick around for what's ever happening here in Japan. So why don't we take an overseas trip? As Kit's like, an overseas trip? Kinda like a vacation until this whole thing blows over. You mean it? As she gives Kit a smile. I mean it. As they would simply go to the docks. As they would just be looking out. As then a whole bunch of villains would arrive. Can't get a break, eh? I guess we can bust a few skulls before we go across Japan. And leave for good. As Kit would get serious and send a whole bunch of water to take them out. As Surge would go around hitting them. As then, well, what was it? Some like mercenary hitman villains for All For One showed up, but Surge easily dealt with them, shocking them. As she's simply running around beating villains. As Kit is helping. Where were all these villains headed anyway? As they're standing side by side as more villains show up. There sure is a lot of them. Wonder where they all came from. As then she smiles. Doesn't matter though. After all, I'm having fun. As she would just run over and beat several villains. As she's unintentionally helping the heroes. Because all these villains were heading towards, well, to fight the heroes, but are now being delayed or taken out by Surge and Kitsuname. As she just finishes just electrocuting and defeating them with Kit. They were all just a waste. As then she would notice like a huge storm. Are those storm clouds? More electricity, I suppose. But I guess we have had enough fun for now. But I don't know, that storm cloud looks powerful. And something's coming this way. As she would run off, as Kit tries to say something. Surge! As she's already gone. As she looks out and sees All For One and, well, All Might. Well, in his small might form, fighting All For One. Oh, look at that! As she smiles. That must be the really powerful guy. As she's like, let's see if I can't just shoot him out of the sky. As she starts gathering all of her electrical power, as her eyes glow. And this is kind of around the same, you know Kaminari's most powerful electrical attack. Imagine all of that condensed into a small electric beam. That thing would cut through steel. As she launches it towards All For One, managing to hit him, but it doesn't. It basically goes through him, making a hole. But he quickly regenerates and looks where it came from, as Surge just smiles. Bullseye. As then All For One would definitely send an attack towards Surge. As she would kind of make like a quickly run out of the way, as she dodged it with ease. As she would then make another blast to send towards All For One, but at a little bit of lower power. As she would constantly just try to take pot shots at All For One, who was dodging most of these, because he's still fighting All Might, by the way. All Might has no idea what's happening. But he's getting a little bit of help. As then, suddenly a Nomu would come out of nowhere and attack Surge. As she would simply just backhand the Nomu, before running into and turning into a ball and simply just going straight through it. You think that thing could have defeated me? As she is basically flaring off electricities at this moment. I'm all fired up. As she would just go around, just simply making her way around in an electric ball, kind of going in circles around All Might and All for One. Let's see how they deal with the electric storm. I call this the electric tornado. As she would go around super fast, creating a tornado around All for One and All Might, sending lightning bolts at them as the tornado forms around. Basically, essentially made out of electricity. Striking at All Might and All for One, causing significant damage to both. As then All for One would pinpoint where Surge would be, and send a huge attack, sending her flying off. As she would hit a wall, make herself go unconscious. As Kit would find her, before leaving. As we go to as she wakes up. What happened? It seems you got knocked unconscious. Did I? As she gets up and looks around. Where's that All for One person? I heard that All Might say his name. Well, he's no longer here. As you can see, we're in the middle of the ocean. As she looks around. How did we get... I simply stole a boat while you were unconscious and said you wanted to get away, right? As she gets up and rubs, Kit said, You're right. Now where to? And that is the end of What If Fem Deku was Surge the Tenrik. Make sure to like and subscribe for more.